So, Business Chat, and it's a weekly event sponsored by and initiated by the Community Chamber of Commerce. So, Community Chamber of Commerce started in it was birthed at the end of 2016, but officially starting 2017, co-founded by myself, Trevor Nell, Evan Anderson, and Gavin Julian. And then we had physical meetings last year, and then COVID changed it all for us. And we're excited to say that the Community Chamber today now is an international event with activities through the virtual trade fair, virtual mall. Dawn did an excellent session a couple of weeks ago. So please visit our YouTube site and just see what's been happening. And then the purpose of this meeting is on a Friday morning just to come together for an hour. And if you are a strategic partner or a member of the chamber, we then invite you to bring a topic to the table and share your topic as an introduction for about 10-20 minutes. And then we just have a discussion around it. So it's a different way of networking. So while we talk, please feel free to go into the chat room and drop your contact details, who you are in the chat room. So people will only connect with you if they find you interesting. So your chance then to make yourself sound interesting is participating in the discussion afterwards. So that's how we want to run the business chat. And if you want to then also have a chance to become a speaker, join us as a Community Chamber member. Ivan will give you the details of how to connect with us at fccc.co.za. And there's a range of memberships that you can participate at. For those who are interested, we are also the only community chamber of commerce out there in the market with its own community bank that's been going now for almost 8 years. And one of the benefits that we have for our members is members can have access to even interest-free loans. So in time to come, we'll tell you more about that. But our speaker for this morning that I've met a couple of weeks ago, who offered then all his topics and things for our group and became a strategic partner, is then Adam Rabinowitz. And Adam, if you can, from the company Imagine 8, if you can maybe just share a little bit of yourself and your company, and then get into your topic, CPR for your business. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand back over to you.
Thanks so much, guys. And thanks everybody for the opportunity to be here. One of the things that I find most rewarding is the opportunity to be able to help small businesses grow. And from my own experiences and from the things that I've learned in business, it's crazy how just a few small lessons or tiny bits of knowledge can make the world of difference. I'm the CEO and Chief Imaginator of Imagine 8 and the Chief Rocket Launcher at Trajectory Software, where we create software that will help companies launch their business or rocket their business to another level, as we call it. And that didn't all happen overnight. It was a very long journey, and the journey started in chaos a number of years ago. Imagine 8, the company today, is certainly not what it was in about 2004-05 when I started this journey of building a business that was in my vision going to be very different from the way it was at the moment. The company itself consists of, at the moment, we have 8 people working in the company. We serve about 500 people across the country, across a number of different products. And we're focusing more and more now on building products for SMEs to help small businesses do better, taking into account a lot of what I've learned and a lot of what's made a difference in my business over the last 20 years since we started. So to introduce today's topic, CPR for your business, has anybody actually had CPR training? 1? Nobody? 2? 3? So when do you use CPR, Jasper?
When do I use it?
Yeah.
When I must admit, I just had to do the course for my discovery points. So I can't remember too much detail, but you know, when you saw, see someone, something like that. So
yeah. So generally when the person's lying on their back and they're not breathing, that's the time that you have to run and start doing CPR. Hopefully your businesses aren't in that state. But the kind of comparison to the business state when you should be running straight to the CPR, it's the kind of the first port of call for resuscing or first aid. And I call my talk CPR for Business because if your business isn't where you want it to be, and if your business isn't running smoothly, if there are things like chaos in your business, then that's the time to start running back to CPR. Hands up who's got chaos in their business? Business running like absolute clockwork? No? Yes? So if there's chaos in your business, how do we recognize signs of chaos? Answer one of these questions with a yes, and you've got chaos in your business. Did you drop the ball at all in the last week? Did you miss a deadline? Did you forget to get something done? Was there any promise or any service that you were fulfilling for a customer that wasn't executed 100% according to the customer's expectation or according to your SLA? Did you run late? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then there is some chaos in your business, because the mark of a good business, or the sign of a good business, is where everything runs absolutely smoothly. Looking around, you can see a number of those businesses, and I'm going to use the one that is quoted in a lot of the examples and the story or the journey of businesses that made this transition and became really, really successful. And one of those is called the biggest small business in the world. Have you spoken about it on this group before, Jasper and Ivan? You haven't. It's called the biggest small business in the world. Any guesses as to what it is? You can unmute your mics. We'll have this as an interactive discussion. Any guesses as to what the most successful small business in the world is? It's a little company called McDonald's. And you're going to tell me, but McDonald's is huge. Yes, it is, but McDonald's consists of a number of small businesses called franchises. And McDonald's wasn't always what it is today. If you go back into the history, the story of McDonald's, it was made popular by Ray Kroc, who found, when he was busy doing his job, which was selling milkshake machines to small restaurants, he found that one of these businesses stood out amongst all the others as a place that was just able to do what they did really well, which means doing the same thing again and again and again, offering consistent quality, offering consistent service. And that was what was then a little business run by the McDonald's brothers serving hamburgers. Now, to cut a very long story very short, all he did to transform that company into a success was look into the way they did what they did and how you can replicate it by taking that same business out of one premises and doing exactly the same thing in another. And the one thing that makes a difference there between, you've had bad experiences, you've had experiences where you go to one place and today the food is wonderful or the experience is wonderful, and tomorrow the experience is not the same. And in a word, what does that create in you as a client? It's disappointment. So what is it that makes a business like McDonald's able to do what they do? And this is now what we call CPR. They're able to do what they do really well, which is produce the same thing consistently, predictably, reliably. We're going to unpack those now. We'll talk about how absence of those makes bad business and how putting those in place makes good business. So let's talk about consistency. That means doing the same thing to the same, doing the same processes consistently, the same way each and every time. Now, I'm sure you do repetitive tasks or similar business for some of your clients. You run an intervention, you do a service, you have a service that says on paper, we'll take you through the process from A to Z. But when you do the process, it's not always the same. Sometimes you forget a step. Sometimes one step takes longer than another. Sometimes you don't do a step that well. Sometimes if you're in the production or the delivery of physical goods, you don't have the things that you need. And so, you phone a customer and say, listen, your stuff's late because we don't have the boxes to pack your goods in. Or your stuff's late because some of the components weren't here when we wanted to do your job. And that goes to consistency. If I do business with you today, I want the same experience again next time. because whether you realize it or not, when you've done that interaction once, you've set a standard, you've set an expectation in your customer's mind, and they automatically assume they're going to get the same or better next time. If you don't do it the same or better, then you fail on consistency. When you fail on consistency, your clients now start thinking this, you know, what do I expect next time? What do I expect the third time? And you can't have a solid business or a business that is poised for growth when your customers don't know what to expect. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, when I started this journey, I was running a company called Imaginate Debit Orders, where we had about 20 customers, and we collected their customers' payments by debit order, and we paid that money over to them. Now, in theory, the system was supposed to work where we collected your money. Let's say you wanted all your invoices collected on the 1st of the month and paid over to you on the 7th. Now, sometimes we were late paying over on the 7th, mainly because a lot of that work depended on me because I was the sole business owner. So there was a promise I made to the client, which means that I created a product and it sounded good, but the consistency wasn't there. Sometimes, we'd deliver late, sometimes we deliver on time. And customers could not rely on the fact that we did what we did the way we said we did. Now, if you deliver consistently, that leads into the R of the CPR, reliability. Once you deliver a service once to your clients, they have to be able to rely on that service if it's important to their business. So the question is, do you deliver the same thing consistently? And if so, can the customers rely on your promise? So if you're promising, for example, I don't know, 24-hour turnaround, or if you're going to deliver a product and have it delivered to my door, within 48 hours of my order, I will place some form of reliance on your promise. Now the question is, can you deliver? And if you can consider consistency but not reliability, then you still fail, because the customer still doesn't know what to expect. Don't order from Adam today because we may not get it on time. Let's go and order from someone else because we know at least this time we'll get it on time. Who's done business with Takealot? You're going to click that button, you're going to pay. They're going to say they're going to deliver on Wednesday, but Tuesday you're going to get a notice to say your goods are on their way. Because they know that at the outside they can deliver within a certain number of days, and they generally manage to get it done earlier, which is brilliant. You can always under promise and over deliver. That's fantastic, but don't do it the other way around. So consistency, definitely. Reliability, definitely. And the last one is predictability. This is a decision a customer is going to make before they do business with you. If I know I need something and I need it in my office on Friday, and I order any time before 12 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I know I'm going to get it from Takealot in my office by Friday. That's predictability. They're so good at doing what they're doing that I can almost foretell exactly what the interaction with their customer, with their company is going to be like. Now, you can't get predictability until you've got consistency in place and until you've managed to deliver on your promises and get reliability. Can you imagine the difference in your business if you get these things right? If you've got any issues or any instances in your business where you have failed to deliver to a customer or delivered late or not delivered their product the way they wanted to, then you failed in one of those areas: consistency, predictability, reliability. When you get these things right, you find that the same customers come back to you again and again and again, and then you get something you weren't expecting, which is referrals, or you're suddenly able to do more with new business because you're not worrying about running around fixing problems. So the good side is, yeah, we want to get consistency, predictability, reliability. The question I have to ask you is, what happens when you don't have these things in place? Where are you spending your time? And I guarantee you, you're spending your time fixing problems or wasting time doing work you shouldn't, because the job either wasn't done correctly the first time or didn't flow smoothly the first time. So how do we get consistency, predictability, reliability, and what's the difference between a business that has them and a business that doesn't? I want to throw it open to you and ask if you know what the answer is. I mean, I do have the answer. I'm not asking you to tell me. I just want to ask you what is in your mind as the thing that has to happen in your business to make the difference between missing consistency, predictability, reliability, and getting it, nailing it.
And processes.
Definitely processes. Another word for processes, Ivan?
I suppose another word for processes. I don't know. Good question.
So they normally go hand in hand. Correct. Procedures, systems, or processes.
Yeah.
So we call them systems in our sort of talking about them, because a process is a part of a system. If you can imagine a system, it's a number of interconnected parts that may comprise of things to do, that may comprise of a collection of activities. It may involve some technology, it may involve coordinating, getting resources and people aligned, so that everybody's ready to do things at the same time. But the answer is understanding what a system is and building bulletproof systems in your business. Now, if you can imagine what goes on at McDonald's and the number of different systems that exist in that business, there's that front of house system where you walk in and they know immediately how to take your order. As soon as that order is taken, information is immediately passed to 3 different parts of the kitchen, where somebody's working on the one part of the order, somebody's working on the other part of the order, somebody's working on collating everything at the end, and they all happen seamlessly. Nobody really tells anybody, right, you must start, you must start, you must start. They automatically know where to look, they get their instruction, and they start working on it. So a system means understanding from the customer's point of view, where the customer begins the journey and where the customer ends the journey, understanding what information you need to take from the customer at the start of the process, and then understanding how to move the customer through the whole journey so that the customer experience is good. You don't have to go back to the customer time and again, and that from one interaction with your customer once, all the information is gathered and passed on to the different processing parts of your business, and the work is done. Now, running systems is another whole talk on its own, because that's a practical session. And when you start looking at problems in your business, you think of the last time there was either a chaos, a bad service delivery, or something that didn't go right between you and a customer. And then go back and say, right, well, at which process or which system in my business failed? You probably find that you've got certain systems or things that you do in your business really well. Most of those will govern what you do 99% of the time. It's where things fall out of the cracks that don't fit into your current systems or processes that cause problems all the time. Every single time there's a problem or a service delivery or something that failed. If you trace it back, you're going to find that it came out of a system or process that you already have, but the system or process didn't allow for that eventuality, and so something failed. Now, if you start building your systems so that they are bulletproof, in other words, every time a customer enters the process, they can expect consistency, predictability, and reliability. And the thing that governs that is a very cleverly designed system, which consists of some technology, some manual steps. It's an orchestration of processes, of work that people need to do, of physical artifacts that you may need to have in place, agreements that might need to be signed. Perhaps it's even a room where some of these meetings or some of this work takes place. But a collection of all of these and a way that you move your customer through this process from step 1, when that's finished, through to step 2, understanding, for example, who you need to communicate to throughout the process, and unpacking every single one of these steps really in a great deal of detail. Then you start understanding what a system really comprises. And if you take a look at what's going on in that McDonald's kitchen, you place an order for your burger and fries. One part of the order goes to the guy at the chip frying machine. One part of the order goes to the guy at the burger fryer. They've all been trained on doing their jobs, and if you unpack what goes on in every one of these steps, it may be a step on a process, but there's a lot of things that go on behind that step in order to make sure that that particular step is executed perfectly each and every time. So I'm going to leave it there. Otherwise, we're going to end up into a whole practical discussion on how to build systems, and that, I promise you, is a day's workshop. But think of this. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. where 80% of your customers, or 80% of your income or 80% of your business probably comes from 20% of your customers. You're also probably going to find that 80% of the work you're doing is coming from the 20% of your systems that are not in place or that are not bulletproof. In other words, those small things that you haven't quite fixed in the way that you do business are probably accounting for 80% of the time you're spending doing work you shouldn't be doing. And if you start gradually nailing those systems and looking into those systems to find out what's causing the breakage, how you fix them, how you stop, for example, information not flowing the way it's flowing, or communication, improving the way communication's happening between steps, you'll start finding that what's slipping through the cracks becomes less and less, and that 80% of your time that you're spending fixing 20% of your problems starts reducing. And that's when you suddenly find yourself in this place I call management freedom, where you can start thinking about growing your business, because at least you know that more and more of what happens in your business is governed and managed by bulletproof systems that are able to give your customers CPR, consistency, predictability, and reliability.